Forced to stand with a perfectly straight posture all day and strange hand movements that Jenna Ortega as Wednesday Addams had to learn. She endured the most grueling rules on set as the lead character in the hit series Wednesday. As a Netflix record-breaking show, there's a lot of speculation as to what the horror icon Tim Burton demanded for the character Wednesday. So Jenna definitely didn't have the easiest time playing the role, as there were insanely strict rules, which if not were followed, she would risk getting fired. Those who have worked with Tim in the past have said that he's a perfectionist and can be difficult to work with. As Johnny Depp said, "I spent the first 2 weeks of Edward Scissorhands thinking I was going to be fired." Some of the never-ending demands were so ridiculous that Jenna was annoyed and even hated following them at times. What are these strict rules she had to follow? Which rule did Jenna hate the most? Let's find out. If you're familiar with any of Tim Burton's iconic movies, he has a unique and distinctive style and is known for his attention to detail and visual style. Wednesday Addams has a severe personality with a morbid interest. Tim, as director, wanted her to look dark and emotionless. Jenna explained, "He did not want me to have any expression or emotion at all. He wanted a flat surface." Jenna had to put in a lot of work as Tim was not willing to compromise on quality, and she had to do it with a perfectly straight posture. Tim asked Jenna to imagine having a stack of books or a teacup on her head in order to train her posture. He told her to walk without moving her hands. She had to learn how to act with her eyes. Wednesday's iconic glare was actually invented on set. During the first few weeks of shooting, she did a take where she didn't blink at all. Tim Burton loved it and said to her, "I don't want you to blink anymore." She hated it because she had to restart a take every time she blinked or had teary eyes. Thankfully, she learned that she could blink when other actors were delivering their lines. You probably think that these rules are so harsh that Jenna must have found it so hard on set, right? But no, there are even harsher rules she had to follow. Although you can't help but notice the beautiful location where the show was filmed, set in Romania most of the time, it took place during the freezing cold winter, so the whole cast had to endure sub-zero temperatures during the shoot. To make matters worse, they couldn't even take hot showers to starve off the cold. Jenna said, "The boilers in 2 of my apartments were broken, so I always took cold showers." Imagine that. A hot shower is the one thing we all want after a long day of work, especially after being out in the cold. Jenna had to endure not only cold temperatures during filming, but also when she was showering at home. Though it wasn't written or spoken, braving the cold was basically a rule the actors had to follow during filming. Plus, the whole show was shot during the pandemic, so she had to follow strict lockdown rules. Despite being in a beautiful foreign country, the actors couldn't go anywhere or do anything outside filming because everything was practically closed due to the lockdown. And they had to follow another strict rule because of this: endure isolation. Because of the pandemic, they had to live in a bubble without being able to go out, even on their time off, as if they'd been quarantined again after they got back. As you can imagine, it can get quite lonely for the actors, being far away from home and not being able to get out of their filming bubble. Thankfully, they had each other, and things started to open up halfway through filming, and some of the actors got to go sightseeing. However, you'd think enduring isolation, the freezing days on set, and being unable to blink was the worst of it. But it was the intensity of her schedule that Jenna hated the most. In addition to her filming, Jenna undertook hardcore training in a bunch of different disciplines like cello, fencing, canoeing, boxing, and German, among other things. And it wasn't just casual training. She got intense training for each of them. Her fencing trainer even said if she had started earlier, she could have gone to the Olympics. Of course, who can forget the viral spooky dance which Jenna managed to choreograph and learn in 2 days, which took off on TikTok and was created by everyone, including Lady Gaga. Jenna explained, "It was just constantly going, and if you could on a weekend, if we weren't shooting the 6th day that week, it was all right. Well then, we'll get your lessons in on that day." Wednesday was in every scene and did most of her own stunt work, so days were extremely long on set. That literally had Jenna in tears on some days. It was show up to set 2 hours early, do that 12 to 14 hour day, then go home and then get on a Zoom and have whatever lesson that I had, or show up to my apartment. My cello teacher was already waiting for me, Jenna said, according to Variety. Ultimately, Jenna was so frustrated by the rules, saying, "I did not get any sleep. I pulled my hair out." There's so many FaceTime calls that my dad answered of me hysterically crying. Her efforts paid off as Wednesday produced a record-breaking 411 million hours viewed, and Jenna pulled off a stunning performance as the perfect Wednesday Addams. You might want to check out this video on Selena Gomez and how Disney destroyed Selena Gomez and Miley Cyrus.